Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Never know who's going to walk through that door. Today, like every other day, it's going to be an exciting show. And the reason today's show is exciting is because we're going to talk about what it takes to be great. Today on the show is Indiana's own NFL prospect, Jordan Bingham, is in the house. It's going to tell us pretty much what does it take to be great according to him. Welcome to the show, big guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm blessed to be here.
So tell me a little bit about who Mr. Jordan Bingham actually is.
Yes, sir. So I'm Jordan Bingham. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I grew up here all my life. I like to travel, I want to say. I've been to a lot of states in this country. Been a little bit out of the country, just on a cruise. I grew up here, went to Crooked Creek Elementary School, went to West Lane Middle School, went to North Central High School, graduated from North Central. I want to say I've had friends that I want to say have been by my side the whole time. I used to go to school in Zionsville, but I transferred townships to Washington Townships and just found a couple of friends and just stuck with those guys all my life. Still good friends to this day.
You're getting ready to consider going into the draft, 4 years at Valpo, another, I believe, 2 to 3 years at the new school that
Yes,
you're
sir.
going into. What was it like for you in high school? You're a 4-star athlete. Were you highly recruited? You know, because your journey to this whole path really didn't evolve around sports. It revolved around academics. Tell me a little bit about that.
So growing up in school, like I was always inclined in math, and it always has been something I'm good at. I don't want to say it's something I've always done per se. Like those timetables we all used to do with those papers, we used to flip them around. I used to be real good at those. But math has always been one thing for me that I felt like it's always been, I thought was going to be a segue as far as school. And also as history. I felt like if you don't know where you were before, you're never going to know where you're going. And,
Really?
Yes, sir. And those are two subjects I felt like I've always carried with me, like still to this day.
What was your grade point level? You said you are good in math.
Yes, sir.
What's your grade point average
My
in
GPA
high school?
was my GPA was a 3.3 is the highest in high school. Yes, sir, especially coming out.
Were you highly recruited coming out of high school? How did that take place to even get to Valpo?
Yes, sir.
Because the only reason why I'm saying this because Valpo is one of the most prestigious schools in the Midwest, and they're not known so much for sports, but you play sports there. But were you highly recruited? And if so, yes, and if no, why not?
No, sir, I actually wasn't highly recruited. And to answer that question of why I can't really tell you why. It's a lot of different factors that go into that question as far as like the team, the head coach, what he does behind the scenes, the athletic directors. I don't really know. There's a lot of hats that really play into me getting into a certain school and putting my name in a certain place. But with the recruiting process, it was a little different. I didn't really expect a lot of schools to come to my school to talk to me. But that's what ended up happening, and I would think I would have to take a lot more visits just to even reach out to coaches. But they ended up finding me exactly where I was at, and all it was took a pink slip to get me out of class, to just get me to talk to coach face to face instead of over the phone. And that was something I really embraced, like being a young athlete, just talking to a person of high power, especially of your future in that sense, in a football sense.
What did you do to amplify your career? Because let's get real. We live in a digital age. I mean, you can talk to somebody over here in Tijuana somewhere if you really wanted to. We couldn't do that in my generation. No matter what level that you're on, high school or college or whatever, it's still a business.
Yes, sir.
What did you do did you do anything to amplify your markability to the colleges?
Well, yeah, I did actually. I took a lot. I want to say I took like 5 visits. I took visits to Florida, University of Central Florida. I took a visit to Butler's campus. I took a visit to IU's campus. A couple other local schools. But when I took a visit to Valparaiso's campus, I kind of liked it. It was really small, and it was really it was really something that I could really attach to very
Hmm.
easily. But as far as my marketability in my game, I would say that social media is one thing that I learned how to use throughout that whole process. Like Instagram was really a thing of my generation. It is
How did you utilize social media to amplify your high school career to get noticed, or basically, how did you put your highlights out for the masses to even look at?
well, first I had an idea of going viral off of a highlight in high school. So I would take some of the best, like of my some of the best clips I've had during the games, or sometimes even in practices. Like there'll be some times where like I'll make a really good play. I clip it, post it on Twitter, and then like say a little caption about the play or something.
I've
Just
seen your social
document
media
it.
page.
Yeah, so it's just like, and sometimes I go look back at it just to look at
Yeah.
giving myself a little reminder sometimes. But like I use that to just kind of my advantage just to get the click. All it takes is a click to just look at something. So
Hmm.
you'll find out more if you just keep clicking. So
What schools were you really interested in? I mean, even as a former athlete myself, I remember schools that I really wanted to go to, and schools that I don't say that I couldn't have fitted in.
right,
I had to weigh what could I bring to the table. Yeah, was I going to get a chance to start? Was I going to be a red shirt? How was that going to affect me academically?
right.
What were some of the schools that you really wanted to go to, and then why didn't you decide to go there versus Valpo?
Okay, so I really have my heart set on going to Central Florida, somewhere out of state, somewhere warm, a different scene.
Central Florida is in Tampa.
Yes, sir.
I know exactly where that is.
Exactly. It's a
Okay,
beautiful,
that's a beautiful school, man.
beautiful school,
Yeah.
beautiful campus. It just wasn't right. I just felt like if that was a move I wanted to make, I could have made that move a lot earlier. I want to say like in my football career and just academically, and I thank God I didn't take that chance. But I was really looking at that school. I really liked IU. A lot of my people I knew were going there. And
Did
I just,
IU even reach out to you?
no sir.
How does that make you feel, knowing where your career is at now? What
It kind of still gives me a little. I just laugh at it. I'm a very humble person. It's not like I'm gonna go out here and just try to flex on people.
Mhm.
Like it kind of gives me a little bit. It still gives me motivation to this day. Like to see like what they're producing in this in today's NFL. And it's not. I don't want to. I'm not trying to tarnish anybody's career, but it's just not. It's not anything that is super duper exciting to me. It's not something I can't keep up with. So it's just like, man, I'm right there with everybody. It just kind of gives me it puts me right back into perspective. If you know what I'm saying.
So you looked at Central Florida. That's where Tony Dungy's son wound up going to.
Is that right?
I believe so. I hope I'm right on that, but I think he did. So what was another school that you wanted to go to?
I wanted to go to IU. I wanted to go to Ball State. I wanted to go. I wanted to go to a couple other schools. I wanted to go. Typically, I wanted to stay in state. Really, I didn't really want to go too far from my family. Um, and when Valpo really gave me the opportunity, it was just like something I could take. Is free school basically.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could play football.
Did they know who you were? Did you have to send them your highlights? What made them? What made? Did they show interest in you when you went there?
So it was a kind of unique situation again. So like I so the head coach wasn't there when I was being recruited. The head coach that was there when I was being recruited actually resigned on signing day
Oh.
of that year. So there was a lot of guys who signed to go to that school that were just left clueless as to what the next step was. There was nobody.
There was no guidance
There
or
was
report to him.
zero guidance.
Really?
Zero. Like so, when we found out who the head coach was, Like, and we kind of it kind of didn't hit us until later, but we realized like he didn't recruit us. Like, so we had to get to know him. It's kind of like we were seniors of the last year, so we had to stick with him the next 3 years with his recruiting classes. So it's just like it's kind
He
of
brought
something
his
I
own
understand.
people in and didn't know you guys.
Exactly.
So now you got to prove yourself why you shouldn't
Somebody.
even got picked
Exactly.
to sign. How difficult was that for you?
It was difficult, but it was something I really didn't really understand until after the fact. Like my next year, I kind of understood that I wasn't a little boy no more. I wasn't just a freshman, and like I could actually get a chance to play. But when I found out that, like I'm gonna say, hmm, it took a couple weeks for me to realize that um, it takes one injury to really stop you from playing.
Yeah.
And
And it comes with a question mark
man,
going into the next.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it all boils down. So with that it kind of helped me see through everything, like allow myself to focus on the main goal of just being a good football player, being a good football team, being a good teammate, being a good student. And then just not letting that knowledge crowd cloud my whole reasoning and my judgment. So it's just like it kind of kept me like balanced a little bit.
You mentioned boys to men
Yes, sir.
mentality. I know you come from a great family structure, but you're there on your own pretty much.
Yes,
You're
sir.
not, like you say, you're not a freshman anymore. You're a man now. Did trying to be recognized to a new staff to start to see your work, did it ever affect you academically? Because you went there academically. You didn't attend the school on a scholarship. Let's be real.
Let's get
Did
deep. Let's get deep. Let's
did
get
it
deep.
did it suffer in any way? Because you still like sports. I mean, let's get real. But you're there academically. You don't want your scholarship to suffer. How did you jiggle that? And were there any conflicts or
Yes.
troubles along that way?
Keep it real honest. There was conflict, and my grades did suffer a little bit. Like I want to say, when I got to college, like the student athlete kind of like flipped a little bit in my brain, and it kind of reflected that when I was at Valparaiso. It's like I focused a lot more of my attention and my time on football and whatever else came with football rather than what got me playing football in the first place.
Was that because you was trying to be a starter?
Trying to be
Come
a star, like a
star.
star.
Okay, I got you.
Exactly.
I got you. The
Starter,
football
like
lifestyle. Yeah.
yeah, like
Okay, that's being real. Yeah.
exactly
We all want that as athletes. You want to
exactly.
be.
You want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And like being like leaving that season and having the summer that I had, like in the training and all the work and this, I knew who I was, and I came in that fall knowing exactly who I was. Like it was like, man, you can't really, nobody can really mess with me out here, and you gotta have that mindset. But like, it's like when it hits you like real hard, like when you get injured or when you have that one meeting, or like I want to say like for me, my instance was my grades were really
What is bad?
bad,
What is,
academic probation bad.
oh, you was bad.
It was like to a point where I couldn't participate in football unless did this first. So
Did you share that with your family?
oh, for
Probably.
sure they
Oh,
knew
they
they
knew.
were notified. They got a letter home, so it was just like
Were you trying to hide it from them and correct
no,
the error?
I wasn't. I'm gonna keep it honest. I wasn't trying to hide it only because I knew they were gonna find out because I wasn't gonna be allowed back to school. And if I wasn't gonna be allowed back to school, they were gonna be like, "What? Why were you?"
Who called you first, mom or dad, or both?
Uh, my mom. So it was like the dean really. It was really the dean. He sent the letter home. He was really just like, "Man, if you don't get these grades up, you're not coming back to school next semester." Period. Point blank. And that was it.
What did your
And
mom say to you?
she's like, "You better do some summer school." Summer school was really the only way. Like it was. It took. I ain't gonna lie, it took nights where I just stayed up, like just thinking about just school, what I'm gonna do with school, what I'm gonna do with football, what I'm gonna do with my family. Just anxieties was just taking over, like in that period. Like when you know you're doing bad, it's just like how do you not feel that way? How do you not feel bad about doing bad? So it's just like,
What was
um,
your game plan? Did you sit down with your parents, or you sit down with your counselors, or a combination of both to map out? You say your mom mentioned summer school.
right.
What did you want to do? Because you clearly said you're now a man. You're not a boy anymore.
So what it took for me was to accept the fact that I didn't really want a regular. I just wanted to play football. I didn't want to live a regular life, and it really took me a lot of time to just sit there and be like, you got to do what you got to do in
Mm.
order to go where you got to go. And it took me to serve that every academic probation, check in with my counselor every 2 weeks, check in with the academic advisors, check in with my actual advisors, check in with the dean, switch my counselors. It was just a lot of things that I didn't want for my life that I had to do. So when I hit that, when it finally hit me to where it's like, I got a breath of fresh air. It's like I allow myself to not get sunken back into that spiral anymore.
How did it humble you?
It humbled me in ways that you couldn't imagine. Like when somebody is obviously not as blessed as you are in any position, but they're in a higher position than you are, and you know you're very capable
Hmm.
of doing the things that they can, and then some.
Hmm.
So it's just like it kind of set me back, and God was like, because you did this, this is what you got. And playing those stupid games, like I got that stupid prize of just sitting and watching people ahead of me and just go past me. Like time is really what really humbled me. And I really didn't really understand that until like tables turned to now. And like what was at the bottom always comes to the top. So
Hmm.
I embrace the fact that coming from that point in my life, like taking those steps, like it made me grateful for that entire experience.
When you got your grades up, you started to get your life back. A lot of people don't realize you're not going to just come back on the field and start. Somebody's
Oh,
already
already playing.
next man up. How do you get back on the field and really elevate your game? Because now you got to going from a starter, and then it's the next man up and the next man up. You got to elevate your game way more higher than they did.
Way higher.
And now you still got to keep your academics. How do you get back on the field?
You just gotta earn that respect and that trust and communicate. And I feel like the biggest thing for me was communication. And one thing I applaud my old head coach for doing, the thing he did right was instilling that communication does foster trust. Like when you have good communication with somebody, you're always gonna want to keep that communication tight and consistent and to the point to where it's never questioned at all. So, and me,
Were they supportive of you? You mentioned communication, and I can tell that you took that communication skill and brought it to the coaches. Like, look, man, I'm academically suffering here. I literally need to focus on my academics, not only for myself but my family. I want to play football. Were they supportive of allowing you space and time to get your life in order? Or was like total opposite? It's football or nothing with them. How did they approach you with this?
my he was really a good job of being that guy that was more so a school. Like he was more so focused on the school's
Hmm.
GPA, like the team's GPA, rather than the most winning record.
Right.
That would have been the nice thing, but that was one thing that was really something he wanted to do in his first 2 years of being the head coach. And I feel like that having that being said, it really gave me the opportunity to have that space. So he was more than allowing me to have space. So it was one thing for him to not allow me to play, but then it's one thing for me to not allow me to flourish in something that I've always been good at.
That
So,
sounds good. So how did you get back on the field? How did you take your game to the next level?
one thing I did, um, I really just entitled myself to just the game and just dedicated myself to the game, like all the facets, like the film, the weight room, the extra stuff, the field work, even even like taking things away from people that are in different places. Like I've always been this sort of sponge when it comes to like sports. Like there's a lot of knowledge I know about the game, like knowing how to play basketball,
Mm-hmm.
but there's probably not a lot that you could tell that I know about history of the game. But like just like football, like probably wouldn't know a lot about the history of the game, but the game itself, playing the game, I know a lot about because I've worked on it time and time and time again.
What's the difference?
The difference, I want to say, like it's not the same. That's the difference. Is it's not the same. It's really weird to say because when the game when we look at players who probably my parents looked up to or probably you've looked up to, these are not like respectfully these guys are not the same athletes. Like when you look at Darrell Revis, he was not no 6'2" tall, freakishly fast dude. When we look at Sauce Gardner, 6'4",
I love Sauce Gardner,
210,
man.
like he can move like crazy.
I'm gonna tell you, I was at the NFL Combine and watched him at the Combine, and I purposely told everybody that I was there with, that guy right there is not only going to be a starter, but he's going to be a Pro Bowler every single season that he plays the game. And another guy, Christian Harris, was another one, and Derek Stringley. Those guys stood out at the NFL Combine. Back to you. You see the difference. You know the game, and evidently that game you mastered it because you spent 4 years at Valpro.
Yes, sir.
And then you wind up having a, let's call it an awakening. Tell me about that and how it led you to the next journey in your life.
I want to say it was really a moment of time where like it was like a coming of age moment for me. It was like,
Coming of age moment. Heck, you're what, 20, 22?
like I want to say like mentally.
Okay,
okay. Like, you have to like. I feel like there's always a point in time where you just got to make a decision for yourself.
Right.
Not only for yourself, but like people around you that can impact the future. And that being said, like I had to buckle down and just choose the right thing to do. Like I had summer school, but it was a lot, and I didn't pass all my summer school classes. I'm humble enough to admit that, and it was very hard. And I want to say like Moravian was very. I'm very grateful for Moravian giving me the opportunity to even like flourish in that way because at Valparaiso it was dark.
What do you mean dark?
I want to say like being suffering in the sports aspect and the school aspect was kind of I want to say like a mixture of just like bad, just bad stuff, like bad, not bad stuff or bad energy, but just like not somewhere where I wanted to be personally or mentally.
Okay.
And mentally, I want to say it was just a place where I needed to get out of. If I wanted to do what I want to do, I needed to get out of there. And like having that time down, it made me realize like my purpose of life a little bit. A lot of time with myself made me realize that that life is more than just suffering and just crying and pain and anger. And there's a lot of things that you can do about it to change the situation that you in.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that, it kind of like God gave me the strength to really put effort into that prayer. And like it came to the day where I had to pick up the phone and the coach had called me from my old school, accepting the other job from the new school, just saying that, man, like I literally have a wide open position for you. Like this is your shot. Like to do whatever you want, like with this football stuff.
How does that make you feel knowing that here's a guy that left Valpo, signed you, leaves Valpo, and all of a sudden 4 years later, you know, you're leaving school, and all of a sudden you get a phone call, an unexpected call from him. How did that make you even feel?
I was, I felt
Did you have any resentment, the fact that he had left to begin with before you even got there to
yes,
Valpo?
because he was not respected at all. So it was a ton of resentment. Not even from me, but there's a guy that I tagged along with me from that school at the same
So you
time. He
guys
was
really
there.
didn't like him because he dissed you pretty much. But
Yes,
you
sir.
was young. I mean, it was
Exactly,
a
and we
business
didn't
decision.
exactly, and we didn't understand it. So it was just like it was a respect thing as well. Like he's my coach. He recruited me, but like I really felt the value of like when I was at school, like I had a girlfriend. All you like, like when you in college, like you just all you thinking about is having fun until like when you have to focus. And, like when you get a girlfriend and stuff, you're not really focused on the things that really actually matter.
Hmm.
You know, and your focus just deviates. So I just think that one thing that it made me feel like trash a little bit from not being on my purpose every single day when I wake up, and when I reflect on it, it's like damn, I could have been doing this whole time, but not having that experience, I wouldn't be where exactly where I'm at. So I just feel I feel valuable. I feel grateful. I feel full of life when he called me, and he was just like, man, I'm like when he told me that he was hyped for me to come out there and play on his team. I don't know, man. I almost cried, but I didn't. But I
Did
was
you
very
believe
happy.
him? Because he already let you down at first.
No, I didn't believe him because I thought he was gonna call me when he first told me who he was on the phone. I thought he was gonna call me and tell me that he wanted me to come back to Valparaiso and play. But I didn't know he accepted another job at an entirely different school. So when he told me about that, it just opened my eyes to a lot more things, a lot more possibilities.
How quickly did you make your decision?
I want to say about a week and a half. Like when I took the time to consider it with my parents, it was just like
What did your parents even say?
it was a long shot, man.
Were they supportive? Did they say, "Hey"? Did they say, "Hey, uh, he signed you and then left"? I mean,
Mhm.
what really made your parents come on board with the decision to go?
It was a real long shot, especially when I told my mom about it and my dad. My dad was with it entirely because he just wanted to see me happy playing football. But at the same time, it's 10 hours away from my family, so I didn't want to be that way. I didn't. It was just that sacrifice that they was willing to accept, especially when my coaches came. Like they were willing to take time out their day to talk to my family about this opportunity, and they said that like, man, we're gonna take care of him. Like he's like our son. At the same time, like he's a player, he's a student. He also at the end of the day, he's also his own man. So he's gonna end up making decisions at the day, his own decisions, and it really took that. I feel like that's what it took for them to really feel
So they
the
made a,
love.
they actually came out and sat down and assured
Yes, sir.
there was a reason that they wanted you
Yes,
there.
sir.
This is 3 years there, or is it 2 years? This is your last year there,
Yeah,
right?
this is my second. This is gonna be my second and my last semester here.
What are you taking here that you're leaving behind in Valparaiso? What's the elevation of positivity here versus Valpo? Not knocking Valpo, it was a learning point, but now you're here. Last year playing, getting ready to get ready for the NFL draft. What, what what's the positive here? The doors is now open.
Hmm. The
Your
positive,
last year.
yes, sir. The things that I tend to, I want to say, gravitate towards, as far as the possibilities of this season, I want to say is my friends, is like just enjoying this time because I know genuinely, I know I'm not gonna have every second, like especially the life I want and the life I'm creating for myself.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna have time to be sitting on the phone playing the game, chilling, doing whatever we do. And I'm just embracing. Those are the things I'm really embracing right now. And as far as the future, I'm just creating a way. Um, I just want to say for myself and for my family, to just be financially just free. Not saying that we're struggling or anything, but just to be free from any type of stress that we just hold on our heart. And I feel like with this season coming up, I always keep my family in the back of my mind. the people the coaches, like all the bad times, the hard times, the dark times, like the times where I've cried, called my parents about dumb stuff that happened at my old school, like the away games where we were getting beat, blown out by 30. And this is like it's like when you take things into perspective and just flip it, it's beautiful. I just want to say like I never thought I like being at Valparaiso. I never thought the grass would be greener. I want to say like taking that the thing I want to take away is risk. That's the thing. Like if you don't take a risk, I feel like your life is gonna suck. You just got to take a risk in your life, and you never know what's gonna happen. I feel like this risk that I took is something I feel like is just the betterment of myself and for my family. And having not taken that, I wouldn't be as happy and as vibrant and as grateful as I am today.
I seen your social media pics. You're balling out there.
Yes, sir.
Like seriously balling.
Yes,
So
sir.
before we wrap up, I'm gonna come at you the way they would do at the NFL combines.
Okay.
I'm the owner of a team. Let's just say the Dallas Cowboys. Why should I put you on my roster? I'm Jerry Jones. Why should I put you on my roster?
I think you should put me on your roster. I wouldn't start by saying but I think you should put me on your roster because I'm a asset as far as the locker rooms to start with. I feel like I'm a good teammate, somebody who you can always be around. You can come to with anything. And on the field, I feel like I'm a great athlete. I can do many things, like as far as running the ball, catching the ball, sometimes even throwing the ball. And I feel like I'm a good leader as far as lifting people up and motivating people vocally and also by example. It's been a trend to where a lot of people on my team gravitate towards me, and especially off the field, to where I feel like I bring a vibe that's very chill and very calming and soothing to people's hearts. That's really genuine to where they can open up to me and they can communicate to the fact that they can trust me with anything in their issues. So we can all keep our mind on one goal and keep the main goal in the front of our minds at all times and remember why we're here today.
Now, another question. I'm Jerry Jones. I got millions of dollars. So I'm going to ask you that $1 million question that most people are afraid to ask. What are your weaknesses?
I'll say my weaknesses is my left hand because I had an injury. I want to say my mental sometimes in game can get a little off track. I'm just going to keep it honest. Last year, I had a couple mental lapses in the games, and it shows on camera. And that's I feel like that's
where your passion
biggest.
Because you
Yes,
want to
sir.
win.
Yes, sir. I want to win a lot. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It's an emotional game. You get real.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
an
like when
emotion.
you lose for so long, you want to win so bad.
Okay.
So it's like, I want to say the passion behind the mental standpoint of the game is the thing I need to work on. I definitely have been this summer, and I've worked on it with my team in the spring, like just being the leader that I am and embracing the roles I have. So,
Man.
yes, sir.
Your mindset is definitely that beast mindset. I know you firsthand. I know your family. I know where you come from. I know your mission, or you wouldn't be here if you didn't have that beast mindset. You definitely have shown today what I consider what it takes to be great.
Yes, sir.
Hard work, family values, and more importantly, the ability to admit your weaknesses. That's called strength in all areas of leadership. My hat's off to you. Lead the viewers with what keeps you going before we sign off today's show.
One thing that keeps me going, I want to say, is God, first and foremost. I wake up every day, I read the Bible, do some push-ups, and I feel like he really gives me strength to just keep myself on the purpose that I'm destined to be on every single day. And another thing is my family, also myself. I motivate myself, and I feel like us just being this close-knit family that works all the time, like I feel like I just want to bring us all together just once, not even once, just all the time. Like when I make this happen, it's just like something that I always constantly think about every time I practice, every time I work out. Just the happy days is really what I think about, and really you got to keep the end goal in mind when you're doing something very hard, especially a long task like this. No matter what you're chasing, just keep chopping the wood. Like you never know where you'll end up because there's people watching you, and you never know who's listening. So just keep God first and keep your family first. And I don't know what more to say, man. Just let life go.
You said a lot, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you got to get back on the field and keep pushing. I wish you the best.
Yes,
Please
sir.
come back. Well, you ain't got to come back because I'll follow you anyways. I already know what's going to happen in your future. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.